Welcome back, everyone. When we last saw Brickwork, the game was still very much a prototype. We were doing a lot of experimenting with mechanics and possible art direction, and the game was still lacking its identity. Last episode, we looked at a bunch of other tower defense games for reference, and that helped steer this project in the right direction. In this video, instead of zeroing in on one particular theme or problem, I want to take you through 1 week of game development, all the changes and new stuff going into the game. As always, I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments, and if you want to support the game, the best thing you can do is wishlist Brickwork on Steam. Thank you for all the support. This is episode 3 of Brickwork. The elephant in the room from last episode, I think, was the artistic vision. There were a handful of issues, but the big one was the mouse orbit camera. When the player moved the cursor around the screen, the camera would rotate to give a new perspective on the action unfolding, and this level of constant rotation was just too much for the pixel pipeline to handle. This, alongside the need to render small details such as the studs on top of each brick, meant that it was becoming more obvious that this low-resolution pixel art style was not a good fit for the game specifically. Now, fortunately, a potential fix for this wasn't too bad. Previously, I've discussed writing code in a style that complements your development methodology. In my case, it takes a while to figure out certain design decisions, and I like to do a lot of iteration before settling on something that I feel works. And so when I write code, I try to program very flexible, generic systems instead of coding something specific. And this allows a more agile approach to new ideas. In this case, on day 1, I set about trying to transition the game into a cleaner, higher resolution look. And because of these generic systems, it required little to no coding. Most of the changes from that day involved tweaking established parameters from the pipeline, such as resolution and rotation smoothing. Alongside this, many materials were reconfigured to work better with the updated visuals, and a lot of the heavy contrast and dark shadows were lessened for a softer feel. The look of the game will be an ongoing effort throughout development. My artistic skills I consider far weaker than my programming, and so it just means I need to dedicate more time to iteration and improvement in this area. Overall, I'm happy with the direction that the new visuals are taking, but I'd be keen to hear your thoughts in the comments. The second big ticket item for me to look at was a new feature to help with the readability of the game. In the previous episode, we categorized Brickwork as a shaped path game, meaning enemies can move anywhere within an open space, and one of the main mechanics focuses on building mazes to control their movement. But something I felt was necessary to make that work was communicating to the player exactly where enemies would path. Without that information, you're essentially being asked to set up your defenses blind, not knowing where the enemy is actually going to be. Not all shaped path games handle this the same way. Gemcraft, for example, has moments where enemies move in completely unexpected directions, and I think it gets away with it because of just how much flexibility that game gives you in terms of building. But the direction Brickwork is heading feels more focused on difficult choices, and for that, I want to make sure the player has the information they need to actually make them. Implementing this is relatively straightforward. We place a procedural mesh just above the path surface, and using our getPath function from the flow field, we get back a series of points. Those points then become the vertex positions for the mesh. Whenever the path updates, we can feed that new information back in real time, giving the player a live preview of where enemies will move as they're placing pieces. Now, we can do this in real time at this stage of the game, but it's worth noting that down the line, we'll probably want to move flow field functions like this onto a dedicated worker thread to avoid any lockups as the game scales. And as a final touch, we let the process iterate over all spawn points, so it works with any number of enemy bases out of the box. Moving into the next day, I wanted to keep improving the feedback systems. In a tower defense game, knowing how far a tower can shoot is pretty fundamental, so that was the focus. Up until now, towers were doing standard sphere radius checks to detect whether enemies were close enough to shoot. For a grid-based game, I wanted to rework that into something that fits better within a tile-based paradigm. The solution I landed on is a mix of two existing approaches. By taking alternating sequences from the Moore and von Neumann neighborhoods, I could create a combination of box and cross patterns that expands outward as the tower range increases. The reason for doing this over a simple expanding square is to create more interesting and meaningful choices when placing towers. Then, repurposing the same procedural mesh tech we built for the path preview, I used that to create a visualization of the tower range on hover. The look of it will probably need refining over time to make the exact range clearer, but as a first pass, I'm happy that the underlying system is there. One of the core aspects of Brickwork is the placement of pieces into the world. Players accumulate these resources over the course of a run and can use them at their discretion. In the first pass of the prototype, we created a system called orbits. The idea was to give players access to their pieces by distributing them in ambient space around the screen, and when you wanted to use one, you could pluck it from the air and drag it down into the map. The reason for trying something like this was to avoid clashing with the motifs of existing genres. The obvious approach to this kind of UI problem would be a hand of cards. We have finite, non-stackable, placeable elements that the player needs to interact with. But I was reluctant to go that route because Brickwork is not a deck builder. If someone comes to this game and sees a hand of cards, I think that creates an expectation that could be genuinely misleading about what the game actually is. Regardless, the orbit system wasn't working, and it needed replacing. The new system I wanted to explore as a possible contender is the idea of a backpack. The thinking behind it was to take the functionality of card games, but wrap it in a visual language closer to loot systems, something that feels more at home in a game like Brickwork. Unity makes this kind of thing fairly straightforward to get off the ground. With UI layout elements and prefabs, the first pass of the system was up on its feet pretty quickly. On the back end, I used a state machine to control the flow of card behavior. I find state machines one of the best patterns in game development, mainly because they make bugs that much easier to resolve. Within those states, I write small mathematical behaviors, things like damping and velocity, to help with the game feel of moving cards around. Then back in the game world, we connect the existing placement logic up to the cards, so dragging a card into the game now triggers the same placement behavior as before. Overall, I'm happy with where this is heading. It feels much better to interact with compared to the orbit system. The game reads more clearly, and there's a real distinction now between game world and UI elements. What I'm probably most excited about is the opportunity to play around with inventory management as a mechanic in its own right. Limited slots, relics that expand your carrying capacity. There's a lot of interesting design space here to dig into down the line. On day 5, I continue iterating on some of the UI, cleaning up a lot of the old sprites with new images taken directly from the engine, and applying some graphic design touches to certain elements to help tie the new art direction together. Towards the end of the week, I try to set aside some time for housekeeping, tidying up code and fixing the small things that are bothering me, just so they don't pile up as development continues. With the remaining time, I extend the card system to support choice rewards. This is very much a first pass, but it's pushing towards a playable demo. A big part of working towards a vertical slice is going to be figuring out what the roguelite elements actually look like in Brickwork. Ultimately, it will require a lot of trial and error, but I think this is a good first step. Closing out the week, I wanted to put in place a few extra screens to round out the game flow. I'm keen to start getting playtest builds out early, so having something that ties together the run loop feels important right now. That meant getting in a main menu and a first look at a class select screen. We'll dig into what that actually means for the game in a future episode, but for now, its only job is to let you assign your brick colors at the start of a new run. And that's everything for this week. A full week of development, a lot of changes, and I think Brickwork is really starting to blossom. If you want to support the game, the best thing you can do is wishlist Brickwork on Steam. And if you've made it this far, a like and subscribe really does go a long way for the channel. Thank you all for watching.